what to say for a closing argument. Let me tell you what my plans and my hopes are for this next session. I served on the Education, Mental Health, Agriculture, Environment and Forestry, and the Mining and Rural Development Committees, those 5 committees. Some of them didn't do very much. One of them, I had a real problem with the title. I'm really grateful that we didn't have to deal with mining issues in mining and rural development. And we could just talk about rural development. That was awesome. But my hope, my very strong hope, is to get involved in a much more powerful committee besides education, and that is the Health Committee. I think there are some significant issues. We've talked about them in relation to insurance. I've met with the Office of Insurance Commissioner. I've met with the Department of Health with their political liaison. And I'm pushing really hard through those areas and a number of things. The big one is opioid treatment. I've been at a lot of different meetings in the Columbia County Park Group, have worked closely with the Sauk City Group, and I'm pushing really hard to get the die first, I call it, the insurance companies call it fail first, policy out of the way. And I hope to do that. We need to change the funding formula in Medicaid so that certified nursing assistants can make, I think, a little more than $12.05 an hour. That may be enough for one person to live on, but certainly to be a certified nursing assistant, and that's your wage, that's not enough. And we need to move that up. We need to fund that. And I know from all of the stuff that we did in the last budget, where I wasn't hurt a whole lot, doesn't make any difference. I will continue to fight for what I think are the right priorities. And those priorities are going to be to fund some of those things. Vivitrol is an injection shot that I'm fighting hard to get covered. That's the fail first. And if you don't understand it, what happens is the insurance companies, most of them say that you have to fail on the other ones first, which on the beginning are cheaper. But it costs $175,000 to a hospital, to us as a society, when somebody has an overdose and has to go to the emergency room. We can finance a lot of Vivitrol shots for that, that might actually help. And so my push is not to force people to do an overdose and get hauled in the emergency room, but prescribe the treatment that the medical provider says we need to provide. And I think if we make those kinds of smart choices, we will do much better.
So when you run for office, one of the questions people ask is, why are you running? My campaign has been about preserving Wisconsin for future generations. Preserving Wisconsin's economic security, making sure that we have good paying jobs, making sure we have a climate where companies will want to come here and will create those jobs, making sure that we have a workforce that is trained to work in those jobs, and that they are able to afford to live here so they're not taxed out of existence. It's about preserving public safety. Getting back to an area, my opponent has mentioned several times, respect for professionals. I think we need to get back to what we're teaching our young people, to have a proper respect for law enforcement. Getting back to the community idea that the law enforcement is not there to hurt you, is not there to hold you back. Law enforcement is there so the free person who is obeying the law can live their life in peace. In fact, that's what they used to be called, was peace officers. It's about preserving Wisconsin's rural heritage, making sure that our family farms can remain productive, can remain sustainable, making sure that our family farms can remain profitable so that future generations can continue to work the land and to keep raising crops and feeding cattle and hogs so that we can eat. And everything you eat at some point is going to come through a farm. And so the idea of preserving Wisconsin is making sure that we have addressed the needs of the district that we live in Wisconsin. My opponent has spoken about things with a great passion, and I know he has a great passion for education. That's good. But all of his solutions to the education problem have revolved around more spending. He says he's a fiscal conservative. There was things he voted against, and I appreciate the things that he said he's voted against. But I would say that his idea of fiscal conservatism is don't spend money on those things, spend money on something else. That's not fiscal conservatism. Fiscal conservatism is don't spend more money than you take in, don't take in more than you need. The idea of big government and government spending and government being involved in every part of your life, that's not the Wisconsin that I want. I don't think that's the Wisconsin that most people want. Most people want to just be able to get up in the morning, go to their job, come home, live their lives, raise their families, and not have to worry about government. That's why we see such a lack of participation. Now, sure, there's some that want government in every part of their life. There's some that proudly state themselves as socialists. You know, that's fine if that's what you believe. But I don't think you're going to meet the needs of this district with big government. The needs of this district are very simple. We got to have jobs. We got to have a place where people can work and make a living. We've got to have public safety. We've got to preserve our rural heritage. And we have to be effective in our legislation. If I'm elected, I would be in the majority. I would never have to say there's nothing I could do about a need that a constituent presented. Tonight, I'm asking you to consider voting for me as someone who can understand the needs and can articulate the solutions. Thank you.
With that, I'd like to take a moment to thank the candidates for being here tonight and sharing their views on matters of importance to the 81st Assembly District. Thank you, gentlemen. I'd also like to thank the University of Wisconsin-Baraboo, Sauk County, and its Student Government Association for hosting this event, and the Baraboo Area Chamber of Commerce for sponsoring it. I'd like to also thank all of you in the audience who came out tonight to witness this. I'd encourage each of you to drive safely tonight, and remember to get out and vote November 8th. Thank you.
Yeah.